Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is an honest review of Etheria Restart, the game I've been playing for the last few days. This is not a sponsored video. This is literally just a dude that likes playing games, that is playing a game in our genre. And honestly, generally, these guys have done a lot of stuff really, really well. But I'm going to give you the sort of lowdown on what I think is really solid and what I think could be improved as someone who's been playing for, as I say, a few days. I'll be totally honest though. The first 2 days that I played, it was like during my work day, all that type of stuff. It was on, but I wasn't like actively playing the game. I was just like, you know, autoing through levels, getting some different Animuses, which is they're kind of like champs, onto my account, and grinding through without trying to do like deep dives on builds and stuff like that. But yesterday, I'd say the first time really that I actively played the game to try and get better scores in things and try and push stuff on. Now, Etheria Restart, it is more like a Honkai Star Rail type game in terms of visuals and stuff like that. And there's a lot going on. You know, for a new game that's come out, there is a lot of content. You've got your campaign, which is more like a run around. In fact, let me just show you a couple of these things. The campaign is in a very similar to Honkai style way. You kind of work your way through these different challenges. You find kind of like chests along the way. They've got a really fun mechanic or cool mechanic where you can just insta skip a battle. There's story going through it as we go through. I'm not going to have that in this video, but basically you see here I'm properly like running around this open world. It is very like railroaded in terms of where I'm going to go next. But I can do this kind of conceal thing. Here's just some story, but I can do a conceal thing like this so that I could get like the jump on someone. And sometimes you just one-shot them like that and you just get your reward straight away. I really like that. I know it's like, because there's something in your brain that just says, I really hope I one-shot this one. It just feels kind of fun. And then sometimes you kind of go from one to the next and then bash, you get your kill, you get a chest, and you know, there's areas of the campaign so far where I've not collected all the chests, and you see that as like a progression thing. So I know, because of the way I am, that I want to go back into different campaign areas where I've not completed that, and I want to see if I can find the chests that I missed. So stuff like that, I think they've done well. This is a feel of battle, right? So within battle, you want to make sure that you pay attention to affinity. It makes quite a big difference. So for me here, I'm against all this kind of like blue affinity, so I want to make sure that I'm basically not throwing out a load of red. Albeit early stages, like most of these games, you know, this red character here for me is basically my strongest unit, so I'm probably just going to leave her in. I'm going to put this on manual first, just so you can see combat on manual. And every one of the Animuses here has got 3 abilities. And I guess they're ones that we would be used to if we were playing Raid. But, you know, I've got someone here who's basically throwing in a load of buffs for my team. The visuals are honestly, like, amazing. I've got another one here who does, like, turn meter and speed up. So I've got 2 kind of, like, support units in this squad. They've actually just racked a load of defense down on me. I've then got my damage dealers, so I actually didn't do my right buff with Freya because I should have attack up right now, but I don't. Anyway, you've got, you know, AoE hits, and it's really like it dictates it really well in the UI to tell you what's going on. You know, where the type of ability you've got. So we're just gonna go AoE here with my Freya. She should put vulnerable on the enemy. That's what the one's meant to do first, and then yeah. And then basically everyone's got their own skill set. So this is the type of camera view that we get when I'm on manual. But as soon as I flick to auto, the camera comes back and you're always in this kind of like further back view. I think they've done a really good job of cameras and visuals. You do get the kind of like alt animation. We've got down the bottom here this kind of like track showing you whose turn it's going to be next. And it moves around depending on if you do like your speed up buffs and turn meter buffs. It's very slick. It's really, really well done. And yeah, you see this kind of like crazy old animations, which depends if you like this style of visual, is whether you're gonna love that or not. But even on auto, it happens fast enough that you know, if I'm like fed up with seeing it, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, a bane to my time, honestly, because it's no slower than ults we have in other games. But you can see very clearly what's going on. I'd say right now, a couple of days in, I still don't really know. Like the buffs are not logical to me for my eyes, so I don't know for sure what's going on with all the buffs and debuffs at this point. Drop defense is pretty obvious. I think, you know, some of the increased attack stuff is pretty obvious, but if you don't know, you can just like click in here and then click on and see what different buffs are. So eventually, if you're somebody who really wants to min-max, which you will need to do for a late game, then you can kind of come in here and see what these different things are doing. Because I would say, apart from stuff like maybe attack up, defense up, you know, stuff like that, they're not super obvious to my brain. But things like your HP bar, very slick. Things like having a little shield, really easy to understand. So I think most of the stuff they've got in combat actually works really well. And they have a ×3 speed, which is generally how I'm playing the game right now. And, you know, it's just very easy to activate. So generally, combat is nice. You get your rewards out here. And it feels really good, honestly. Feels really good. And then we get these kind of like, if you're into the story, there is like a story going along. And they've put a decent amount of effort into the story and the visuals and the animations of it, that type of stuff. So I won't spoil that for people here. Let's just come out. Let me show you some other stuff. Now, there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of content going on. So we've got our union, which is kind of like your clan area. We're all fighting a boss together, like you would expect for like a clan boss. And there's different phases of it. So you get phase 1, you get like a score for the hit that you've done up to 100 tier. So 100 tier would be basically you took it all the way to the end of its life for your run. And you can kind of just see how other people are doing in this sort of tiering. So you can see here for today, I hit a 93 tier with this group. This little blue sign here is basically meant that I got support units in to help me. So I think this is brilliant. Like, I really like this. So I could go in to challenge this boss. So early game, I think you would do this a lot. Later game, you might not do this at all. But for now, I'm looking at my units. I've got like, my only 6-star here at the moment is Leanne. I've got Freya, who's my buff champion. I've got Messiah, who's one of my DPS. I've got Doki Doki is like my turn meter. And then I've got Bjorn is like a single target DPS. So this would be my 5-man squad. And I would probably get to like tier 30 to 40, maybe a bit higher than that on my own. But what I can do is I can say, well, hold on a minute. Let's take my Messiah out, go into support, and grab from my union, from my clan, someone else's Messiah or someone else's Tiamat or whoever I want, like whatever role I'm trying to fill. And you can do that with 2 supports per run. So I could also say, well, you know what? I'm not going to use my Freya. I'm going to bring someone else in who does healing, for example. So someone like Liang Lu, Ling Lu. Anyway, suddenly my squad's much stronger and I'm still achieving those goals. This is brilliant whilst you're working your way up to having more and more 6-stars of your own. And you can like plug gaps for the teams that you want to fill. This is, as far as I know, this is only for the kind of like union fights, which I think is great as well. I don't think you need it everywhere in the game. But honestly, I think it's a brilliant feature. I think they've done a cool job of this. So yeah, and then obviously you go into battle there and different bosses have got different mechanics. So you can kind of like look through the mechanics of the bosses and decide, you know, what units you think are going to be best to bring in, whether they've got ads. Do you need AoE? You know, do you need certain abilities? Can they be crowd controlled? All that type of stuff. So all the stuff you'd expect. So yeah, the Union boss is really cool. We've also got, in terms of challenges, honestly a lot, right? So you've got an area where you farm XP. The further you are up in terms of levels and the missions. So this one, I've now unlocked level 30, which unlocked my main quest line that you just saw me doing in campaign. So that only unlocked today for me as I hit level 30. And then once I've beaten that main quest line, I can then push further in this. So there's kind of like little gates around where you're able to farm. But for me right now, I could literally go in and farm this XP area, which is, you know, where I'd advise you spend a lot of your energy right now. And I can max that out. And they have a cap on like how much you can do in terms of stamina a day. So they could, in terms of how many of your diamonds or refills you can do, which means that people can't get like crazy far ahead. But I can literally go in. Did I just do continuous battle? This is a really, really good feature as well. So you've got, you know, because this is kind of like I'm just auto farming this as much as I can early to get my XP up so I can start to level these dudes. So I'm going into battle and I'm like, well, I've still got other stuff I want to do. So that battle now is playing. We've got these 10 fights that will go on, and I can now go back in and do some of the more interesting stuff, or just some of the other stuff, right? So I could go in and start to farm some more gear, which is the modules. I could farm some more pets or the shells here. I could farm some of the book material to kind of like level up skills or ascend people. I could go into some of these kind of like side challenges, team challenges. One thing I've not been able to do yet, it wasn't working yesterday. I wonder if this is working now. There's like a 3-person fight. So we're all kind of like taking on a different affinity of this boss. And 3 of us are fighting together. This was not working. This is a beta right now. The live or full game comes out 8th of June. I think you can still play the beta, by the way. But if you go to their main website, I'm pretty sure you still can. But yeah. I basically would go into like a matchmaking setup. Yeah, it will work now. And either go in with people that I want to, so I could like call on my friends and create a room to come in together. Or if I don't have friends, I can just do matchmaking and we sort of go in and fight as a group. So pretty cool system, pretty fun. There is a lot of focus in this game on arena. Now there's a few things. So firstly, you obviously fight in arena. There's also, I don't have any to do right now. I can also like bet on the winners of these other arena fights. And I could kind of look through their teams and try and like basically double up my rewards, which is quite a fun little gimmick. I actually really like it. As a gambler, it's really fun. Yeah, there's a ton of different sort of combat areas or things to do. So if I go into the arena realm here, I've got like the base arena, where it's just like a ladder system, okay? And you're sort of working your way up. You know, you've got like an ELO system trying to work your way through it. You've also got this summit arena, which I've not participated in yet, but this is basically it's like a knockout competition. So a bit like we just saw there with where you could do like the predictions. You go in as a knockout, and it's a live arena, and it is like a draft system. So again, you know, for this game coming out on launch, this is one of their big things. Like the top 128 players in like a season will go into a proper like esports style knockout competition. And this is going to be a big part of what they're trying to do with this game. And then they've got the Fearless arena here as well. I'm not even sure the difference on this one. But yeah, 3 different arena modes, and they've focused a lot on arena. And they've also focused a lot on the different aliases to be able to like have some real serious, I guess, match play going on. So let's talk about the different aliases here, what's going on. Some of the stuff we'll be really familiar with, and I think you need that in these style of games. You need to be able to understand what's going on pretty effectively. So, you know, 3 skills, you can read which each of the skills are doing and get a feel for what they need. I'd say, because I'm a Raid Shadow Legends player generally, I wasn't fully like, I don't know how I'm doing damage with some of these abilities. Is it from attack? Is it from HP, like defense? I guess every ability is actually based on attack for damage. But anyway, it's not like, if I'm being critical, it's not like super obvious to me just reading through the skills of like what's generating all of the multipliers. But you level up skills with like skill books. So I could go into upgrade. I upgrade my levels here with that kind of like XP material that I'm farming. So I could literally just press add all. It'll do it really quickly. Really like familiar way of doing it. I can also, if I've got someone who's not yet 6-star, I could go to star upgrade. You earn this kind of like currency to upgrade your champs. And there's also a way to craft. So whilst I'm doing my kind of like grind right now, I'm earning some of these like small 2-star chickens in effect. I can craft those into the big ones. And that's the The system here is like pretty much farm that XP haul all the time. You'll earn a bunch of this craft material, and eventually after a decent whack of energy, you don't have enough to get yourself the big boy ones. So I'm working on at the moment getting my Messiah here up to 6-star. Once you level them up, you then put more XP into them to gain more stats. So if I upgrade here at all, you can see I'm going to push up and I'll gain a bunch of stats, mainly around survivability and attack. Speed seems to be pretty flat. Yeah, so a lot of these stats will be quite familiar. You've got speed, you've got effective accuracy and effective resistance. That's where we're going to land abilities and stuff like that. So it's all stuff that we would be quite familiar with. And then it kind of tells you about what the affinity difference does here. So increased crit rate against other opponents and damage. The disadvantage is quite heavy, 30% crit rate reduction, and effective accuracy reduces by 50%, which is massive actually. So modules is their gearing system. Again, I think it's really well thought out. You've got 6 pieces, so you go out and farm gear. You've got the ability to say, right, what set do I want? So if I wanted just like speed gear, I wouldn't do it for her. I'd probably do onslaught gear. So if I wanted just damage gear for her in this slot, it would find it. And then if I wanted to have stuff with crit rate on it, for example, it would find it pretty quick. You would then go into the piece. And after some pieces come with like 2 substats unlocked, I guess the higher my gear that I'm able to farm, the more of these would be unlocked at first. But then I can just upgrade pretty cheap to find out very early on what the other substats are by level 6. And then any other subsequent roll on like 9, 12, and 15 will throw more stats into one of these different areas. So gearing's pretty good. You've then got these kind of like 2 or 1. See, this one's got like 1 of these symbols. This gives you like how many points of that set you're putting on. So for onslaught here, if I click in this, I've actually got enough 12 onslaught bonuses, which gives me like the full 45% more attack. So again, depending on the type of build you're doing, it's just pretty intuitive really what you'd want to do. Like my speed booster, stroke turn meter booster, I've gone pretty heavy on Swift Rush. Probably will go into more of that still. Changing out these 2 pieces for, maybe I can do it already actually, a Swift Rush. So if I'm looking for anything that's got substat of speed, and then at the moment, she's basically wearing it all apart from, actually I could put some different pieces on. So I could grab this one here, or this one here. I really would prefer it to be HP. There we go, but it's only got 2 speed. It's probably worth doing that. So I could do that, and then I could just say, bam, let's grab this one. And then suddenly, as my speed booster, because I've now given a full pieces of Swift Rush, I've just given myself that 35% boost. And you see here, I'm at like 180 odd speed, which I don't know if it's good or not, but basically everything I've got is kind of like rolling speed there or thereabouts. Yeah, so it, I'm not saying my stuff's well geared, but I kind of understand at least what I'm trying to do. So I've got my speed booster, I've got my buffer champion, which is Freya here. Again, just stolen her piece, so I just want to grab something in replace of it for now. Effective accuracy is something I need because she puts debuffs out. I'd rather it had speed as well, but I don't have any more, so just throw that on for now. And yeah, you can see, so she's kind of like my go second champ, and she's pretty fast as well. And then my damage dealers, I'm trying to push crit rate, attack. Some Amises have got some stuff like this one where he never crits, so you're trying to just push more like attack and other stats basically. So there's like a real difference of builds. There's certainly specific type of Amises. So you got an out and out kind of like healer unit here. You got a buffer and debuffer here. You got a speed booster. You got damage dealers. It's pretty. I'd say it's extremely free to play friendly. Let's just go into the summon area quickly. So you earn summons a ton early on. It might get worse as you go through the game, obviously, but you have these banners. So after I pulled 100 summons, I was guaranteed a Freya. Yeah, and she's going to be usable right through to late. I did put gems into getting my Messiah, but so it's either you get him after 100 summons, or if you get him before, it kind of resets it. And I got him before, so I was quite lucky. But spending crystals on this, it was actually quite a lot of crystals to keep going. I would have had to buy a bunch of crystals to keep going. And then you've got just like normal banners where you've kind of got, you know, a 0.75% chance of getting one of the SSRs. And then you've got the sort of light and dark SSRs, or sorry, light and dark units here, 2 of which are SSRs. And then it kind of goes into the fodder pools, really. The epics, there's plenty of good SRs, but yeah, there's like stronger ones and weaker ones, obviously. So these are the SSRs, which are kind of like light and dark, which are lower chance. So I actually got my Doki Doki through doing this. And I think it's after every 100 summons, you're guaranteed some sort of SSR. I might be wrong on that. Let's have a look. If you do not obtain an SSR after 50, the drop rate increases. You're guaranteed an SSR after 80. Okay. So it's pretty good. And you get a lot of summons. Like you get a lot of summons just playing the game. There is then this kind of like light and dark affinity ones. I definitely am not getting many of these summons. So pretty sure it's a different currency. Yeah. So I've not been getting many of these, but this is kind of like, I guess, some of the higher level units. But just the fact that they're already in this summon pool, you know, I've pulled 2 out of this group just from general summons. So I'd say the kind of like cost point is pretty good. And then also once you've got them, like, so you can do their prowess. So I don't have another copy, but you can go in and any dupe that you get just gives them more stats. So it's not like I need these dupes to change the way my skills function. But obviously, like, if you're talking about late game competitive PvP, everyone's going to want to have maxed out ones. But I think their dupe system's pretty fair to a free-to-player. I'm not sure if it's as fair to them, you know, in terms of a game. I'm trying to think how they're really going to drive cash. I'm sure they will, but it's, you know, it's very possible getting a lot of the decent units without really spending a lot of cash. So we'll see what they do over time, obviously. You've then got this kind of like shell system, which I like, actually. So it's like mini pets. Each of the pets has got a passive ability. So you want to pick the right type of pet for the right type of unit. They've also got stats that they give you, or they give into your Animus. And they've also got a kind of passive effect. So, for example, on my speed booster here, I've got an HP and I've got effective accuracy. They're not perfect ones at all, right? So, and you're paying a currency to replace these. So I could empower it, I can level it up, I can reconfigure what these different effects are, and I'm paying this kind of like currency to do it each time. So, I mean, eventually you'll just be like, you'll have the perfect configuration for the one you've got, but obviously you want to make sure that you're doing that with the shells that you really want to use, right? And yeah, anyway, I'm not too fussed about wasting the resource right now. It's costing a lot to do it each time, and I'm going to wait until I've got better stuff. And then you can also consume shells to kind of like imprint the levels and stuff like that. So you can do the same thing actually with your Amius. You can, I think it's only once, and it's only within the first few days, but I could get back all of the resources I put into this Liane, for example, and take it back to level 1, star level, I guess you must start as 4, and put all of those resources into someone else if I wanted to. So there's a number of like good systems that they've got to make it a really, I guess, comfortable early game. Now, one of the things which is kind of like in short supply, or feels like it might be in short supply pretty quick, is this kind of like silver currency. So I guess we'll wait and see how that plays out, but this definitely feels like a pinch point for me. It might be because I've not done that much like gear farming yet. I've done mainly, I've done a lot of kind of experience farming like this. Could just get that going again. And now that's going again on like another 10 run for experience farming. Just like whilst I'm just literally talking you through all this other stuff. The last thing I talked about here is like the ways they push you through the game. So you've got different quest systems, and you know, if you're ever in doubt as to what you should do, there's a whole bunch of different like quests you can go and do, be it like dailies and weeklies, but also way further than that. There's 7-day commissions, like go and collect this thing, go and upgrade this thing, and you've got different phases of that. You've got all of these different achievement lines where it's like, right, defeat this boss, defeat this enemy, defeat this, you know, go a level higher, do it faster, all that type of stuff. You've got the development of your different aliases and upgrading star levels. And obviously all of the rewards here are either summons or more of these crystals or more of this kind of like leveling stuff. Collect different things, work your way through leveling up. So all the time, there's kind of like a pretty good grid system around, I'm not sure what to do. I'll go and do some more of these kind of like quests. My biggest upset with this is, honestly, I guess I'm only a couple of days in, but it's a bit like all over the place. You know, I feel like, okay, what am I doing next? What's next? And you could go in 5 different directions. And if I was like, if I was to say to you, yeah, I know there is a quest line to level up my Lian. Okay, I know that. But I don't know where. I couldn't tell you straight away where it is. I think it's in here, maybe this one. Yeah, basic training of Lian. Yeah, okay. So there's all these different like areas, and honestly, if they didn't have these blue dots in them to bring me back here, and then I'd be like, oh, hold on, what's this? What's this? I could get some more reward if I beat Doki, right? And then I might just be like, okay, well, I'm going to go and try and do that. So I'll go and get Doki, and I'll try and beat her on the next high level. And that's what I mean. It feels a little bit chaotic in terms of, you know, the way it moves me around. But again, I've only played it actively for 1 day. But although I've been playing it for like 4 days, I'd say active playing was that 1 day. So some of that's going to be on me and just me being like familiar with where those different systems are. You know, after 1 day, I've suddenly gone from, I don't really understand the gearing system and the pet system to, okay, well, now I played the game, I obviously understand it, right? So, and my refinement then of how that works and how I should gear and all that type of stuff obviously improves over time as well, once I really familiarize myself with the different sets that you can get and the different shells that are available and all that type of stuff. I will say we're fully covering this game on hellhades.com. But it's not me that's doing all the ratings and stuff. We've got people that have been playing the game for the last year that are doing all that work. So for me, this is literally just, I'm experimenting with the game as a player rather than, you know, someone who's kind of like feels like they're really familiar with the game and all that type of stuff. But I will say it's slick. It feels really, really slick, really polished. They've really thought about a lot of the systems. You know, I'd say I'm not really someone that plays a lot of like anime style games, and this one is probably the best game that I've played in terms of straight out the gate. It's got its systems in order, it's got its visuals looking really class. You know, there's interest in different heroes or aliases that you can collect, and kind of like reasons to use them in different types of content. So, you know, overall, I'd say if you're interested in trying a different game, this is definitely one worth trying. Feels really, really solid to me. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today. Etheria restart coming out the gate, and honestly, coming out the gate hard. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you soon.